in here! Ready for action! Out on the beast, it must say.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to TAC. I'm Garrett Earl here, as always, with Jocelyn Carney. Happy Scholomance Eve, Joss.
Yay, I'm so excited. It's the day before the best day of the year so far.
Wait, there's three best days of the year, or is it? Are you in just particular? Can you divine the fact that Scholomance is going to be the best expansion of the year, or are you?
Absolutely. Have you seen these cards?
They are nuts. Absolutely nuts, Jocelyn. Crazy cards. We talked about a lot of them last week, and yeah. So we're sticking to our regularly scheduled program, which means this is a expansion pre-release episode as opposed to a post-release, because we both have other things to do on Thursdays. So, we'll be doing our post-launch episode next Wednesday. We will have had some time to play with the new cards, play with the new decks. Jocelyn probably with a few more legendaries than myself, but that's just the way things go. Although not last time.
I feel like my luck has been steadily declining, so I'm interested to see what kind of packs I open this time around, because like I had bad luck I think Ashes of Outland in general was just probably my personal worst expansion that probably in the history of Hearthstone. We got Demon Hunter, and I was so mad and salty about that. And then, when I opened my packs, they were terrible. Ashes of Outland was not my thing.
It was a little curse for you, for sure.
It kind of was. Maybe that's why I'm so stoked about Scholomance, because
I would like to point out, I'm fairly certain, though, that Outland was the only time in, probably the last 2 years where you had a bad card haul.
Yeah, at least. I literally don't remember the last time I had a bad card haul. Maybe Rosticon's Rumble, but none of those, I didn't really notice because none of those cards were particularly impactful, and I wasn't like, oh my God, I need to get, XYZ. So I had good Ungoro card pack openings, great Old God card pack openings. There was one other expansion around that same time where I got a triple legendary pack. Bad expansion openings are not usually in my wheelhouse. Can I call it my wheelhouse when it's random luck? But
you're just what is this? I only got an average number of legendaries. I don't understand this feeling. It's almost like it wasn't what I expected. Jocelyn, the word you're looking for is disappointing. I know you haven't had that feeling in regards to pack opening, but that is indeed the word you're looking for.
Yeah, and so I feel like maybe Ashes of Outland was me karmically paying back the universe for all of my Joss luck in previous expansions. So now we should be back on track for Joss luck.
Fair. It's very, very fair. Well, the news front is obviously a little on the quiet side. We do have a news segment for you all today, but you wanted to talk about, it's Expansion Eve. What is it that we want to try out first? Once we're done cracking up, obviously we want to try opening packs first. That's what I want to try first.
Step 1, packs.
Step 1.
2,
playing a deck. Well, building a deck and then playing a deck.
I was expecting you to say Paladin, because you've got it with an exclamation mark in the notes.
Paladin! Yeah.
There you go.
I'm calling it right here and now. It is the dawn of the Demon Hunter and Hunter are still going to be tier 1 decks that are god tier. But also it's the dawn of the Paladin. You get out of here with your logic.
Paladin.
I'm calling it right now. Scholomance, no more Paladin, Joss. We're out of here. We're out of here. It's Paladank. That's what we're doing.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm out of here. This show is over.
Okay, all right. Well, that's okay. I'm controlling the stream, so I'm just going to solo this biz. So, hi, everybody. Welcome
Garrett, that
to
was
the
terrible.
Angry Paladank, the new show with just me, not Jocelyn, where I just report on every week's Paladin news.
Obvi.
All right, now I hate you. Now, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know your buttons, Garrett.
All right. Wonderful.
So gifable.
So bad. Obvi. Oh, jeez. I hate it. It sounds like a really bad app. Like the next Twitter contender is going to be called Obvi. And it's just going to be you ask a question, you get a really obvious answer returned to you. That's going to be, there it is. You can have that one for free, Silicon Valley. Yeah, I can't wait to play Paladin. I'm sure it comes as a surprise to no one. It's the golden hair that probably gave it away. I love the class. I really do. I haven't played a lot of it really this year because
yeah, I feel like we were excited about Librams and then they didn't kind of really pan out the way we thought that they were going to be. We thought they were going to be great. Like
right at the end, they and like I haven't really looked the last couple of weeks, but they're just on the cusp of like top win rate over on HS Replay. They finally almost got there. Like they have been right, but it's been this really slow uptick for Libram Paladin over the entire course of Ashes of Outland. It's like the most boring, but you also want to invest in it like stock market line ever. It's just slowly going up.
It's that slow burn.
Yep. It was at its lowest point at the beginning of Ashes Island, and it's ending at the highest point, essentially. I'm sure there's been a little bit of variance in there, but they basically have arrived. We've kind of figured out how to do the Libram / pure Paladin and make it work.
Plus, we've also had a lot of like nerfs and changes and things since the beginning of Ashes of Outland. There's been a lot of balance patches. So
and straight up buffs to Paladin.
Yeah,
Paladin got buffs, which I was really happy to see, but like immediately didn't seem to quite do it. But it turns out we just needed to tweak the deck and continue tweaking the deck and get more experience against the various matchups. Because you go over and look at statistics now. The most popular pure / Libram list has pretty solid matchups across the board. There's, as usual, unless we're going to start calling for the immediate nerf of something like Demon Hunter at the beginning of Ashes of Outland, as usual, there's a few counter archetypes out there, but it's been doing quite well in the last few weeks, which makes me excited, but it's still not quite a tier 1 deck. I don't think most people out there would make an argument for that. And I mean, every class in Scholomance are getting, just to use a technical term, batshit cards. And and so Paladin is no exception. I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Because like everyone's getting crazy cards. There's already existing archetypes across multiple classes that are very, very powerful. So who knows? But I really think Paladin's going to arrive. Like I think Libram Paladin is going to eke its way into tier 1 because of what's going on here. And maybe we'll cease to call it Libram Paladin because there's a lot of arguments to also run non-Libram buffs now because of Allura. Allura just seems extremely powerful. So,
yeah, I mean, she's really great, and I like the stat line, the 3/6 for 4. Like it works really well with both Paladin Priest because you really want something to stick to the board, right? So it doesn't need a whole lot of attack because you're going to basically be giving it attack through all of your buff cards. So yeah, I think Allura is really alluring, and I'm looking forward to playing with her.
You are just the worst. The absolute worst. Like
the worst
why?
Best.
The worst, just the worst. Just the worst, Joss. That's okay. We'll maybe forgive you and continue listening / participating in the podcast if you're me. But yeah, like just pulling the spell from your deck. It as we talked about last week, it definitely seems like a very specific type of Paladin deck wants to run this. Not that Allura pulling Consecrate out of your deck would be the worst thing in the world, but control tools like Consecrate are the types of things that you usually want to deploy with very specific purpose at a very specific time, not just yeah, randomly dealing 2 damage to your entire enemy's board and themselves, not the worst thing in the world, but there's definitely much more value and to be found with a spell burst effect such as Allura's. So it certainly feels like...
I think with her, you're probably going to be building a deck that's less about like AoE and removal like that. Like you're basically going to be trying to buff up your minions and create a deck that's using your minions as removal, like more almost like a zoo mindset. It's like you want to get stuff on the board and then buff it up and then make good trades and value trade and stuff. And like, I think that's probably the deck that she goes into. And then you're not accidentally casting like equalities and consecrates and stuff at times when maybe you don't want to.
Yes. Sorry, I was reading chat room. They're asking if Liedrin would give you the spell. Should be no. As far as Hearthstone history is concerned, anytime a card has cast a spell, it counts as the card casting the spell. Liedrin specifically states cards you cast, you as the player. And so if Allura follows traditional Hearthstone rules, it should be Allura that is casting the spell, not you, the player. And therefore, Liedrin not giving you the spell. But again, there's so many good spells to choose from and that are good enough to warrant a deck slot. I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think, what is the bad scenario there, right? Like when if that is a downside, and I'm not saying that that's what chat room was saying. I think they were just looking for a clarification there. But, if you're like, oh no, I got Libram of Hope out for a discount much earlier in the game than I had any right to be doing so. And I didn't get max value out of my 8 heal, but here I am before turn whatever late game with an 8/8 Guardian with the Haunt and Divine Shield. Like, yeah, okay, Liedrin doesn't give you another copy of that, but you just got an 8/8 Guardian with Haunt and Divine Shield at a point.
Turn like 4 or 5.
Exactly, exactly. So, it's a trade-off, and that is a price I am very, very willing to pay. Mm-hmm. So, and to come back to kind of Libram / Pure Paladin as a whole, yes, it's been doing well, but like the more I've been thinking about it, and now that we're on the precipice of expansion launch night, there's a great article out right now over on Vicious Syndicate called 30 days to try out, 30 decks to try out on day 1 of Scholomance Academy. Josh, you and I have been doing this a long time. Putting together this much, putting thought into it and actually, being able to back up the reasons that you're building the decks that you're building. This takes a lot of work. So hats off.
Yeah,
to
they literally, there's 3 different decks per class on this list. It's nuts. There's kind of a play style for everybody that they've put a lot of thought into here. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I look at as someone who makes content and goes, oh, this is way too much work. I would never do something like this. But it's also signed the team, so I'm assuming multiple people worked on it. Wouldn't be surprised to find out that Ridiculous Hat had a call on some of these decks. But it's great. You should go give it a look. And they have what they're calling just Allura Pure Paladin. And it makes... I think some really smart changes. It definitely builds off of the pure package, which is a hilarious thing to call it because it has to be 30 cards that are all from the same class. But there's a lot of similarities between this list and the current most popular Libram Paladin list. And it really made me double down on something I was talking about. I believe it was Scholomance announcement week on the show, when I think it was like Goody Two Shields and a couple other Paladin cards were shown. And I was like, listen, I don't think we're playing Bronze Explorer because we really want Bronze Explorer in our deck. I think we're playing it because we have a lack of Paladin specific cards to fill those card slots. You have to fill up 30 slots and they all have to be Paladin cards if you want to get that pure trigger. And Bronze Explorer, not the worst card in the world, but it's also not that exciting and has it has really no synergy with Libram outside of it's a body you can put a Libram on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that now that we've they've opened up the door with these dual class cards, it's given you a whole lot more options to build a pure Paladin deck with. And I think you're totally right. Pure Paladin is one of those archetypes that's only going to get better over time as they have more and more options, and much like a Highlander too, like as they have more and more options and less deck slots that they're filling just to hit the 30 card mark, these decks are going to get more powerful and more refined, just as the general card pool expands as we get more and more expansions every few months.
Yeah. If you can't tell, I'm very excited about this. I'm really excited to get rid of cards that I see as filler in the archetype, just to be a means to an end. Amber Watcher, like, okay, again, not the worst minion in the world, but it's not why I'm playing the deck.
Infrarogue in the chat room brings up a good point. What about card draw in this deck?
Well, it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
But
so you are kind of in a top decky kind of a situation, but that's the kind of thing that I think over time you'll find a card or two, the sort of thing that you thought was going to be good, but maybe sticks in your hand, and maybe you can, slot some card draw into those, one or two deck slots and kind of work around that, because those are the little refinement things that I expect to happen over the first couple of weeks of playing this deck.
Well, it's also worth mentioning that the most popular pure lists right now run no card draw.
Yeah.
And they are finding success.
And they're fine, yeah.
And you know what? It's obviously not the sexiest card draw in the world, but I misspoke on Vicious Syndicates. It does have card draw, but it's a one of its Salhet's Pride, which on the Death Rattle draws 2 1-health minions from your deck.
Oh, okay.
So Vicious
Syndicates. What are the 1-health minions in your deck?
Not Eldor Attendant. Oh my God, the hover over is not playing well, because I don't remember off the top of my head.
But there's a couple anyways.
Yeah, I believe so. What the hell is actually? Oh, it's Imprisoned Sungale. It's the Imprisoned Sungale. Yeah. And also your McGurgle. Yeah. McGurgle. I always think of the prime. I don't think of the base frickin' minion. So yeah, they are indeed there. So, but yeah, definitely if you're the type of person that gets anxiety around not playing card draw, which I kind of do, I can understand your aversion to the archetype. But
the Argent Braggart. Yeah, man, that card is ridiculous, because like I wasn't 100% sure how I thought that it worked, but then when I saw people playing it in the like when they were doing the theory crafting streams.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. For audio listeners that aren't looking at the card right now, the Argent Braggart is the 1/1 for 2 that gains the attack and health to match the highest that is currently on the battlefield, which in a deck that wants to be buffing minions is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that it would work this way, but like I thought that it would gain the same across both stats, but then that would be kind of crazy, because then you would just like, does it look at the highest attack and health, like, and figure out which number's higher and give you both stats? But it doesn't. It says like, okay, the highest attack minion on the board is 3, the highest health minion is 6. So therefore the Braggart becomes a 3/6. I don't know why I had in my head that it was just always going to be like the same, no matter like the same stats, but no, it doesn't. It picks the highest attack and highest health. And yeah, weird. For some reason in my head, it's not how I pictured it working.
More often than not, Josh, you blow my mind with things that I didn't think about. And other times I sit here going, how does your brain work the way that it does sometimes?
Don't know.
Like that's one where I'm like, I would have never in a million years assumed that's how the card worked.
I think it's because the base card is a 1/1 that I just had in my head that like the attack and the health were the same. And so like, however it figured out what was the highest, or maybe I was thinking that like things generally have the same attack and health, as I'm looking at all the Paladin cards you've got in the notes and none of them have the same attack and health. Like, I don't know how that got in my head or where that came from.
That did that, but not Paladin. So yeah, anyway.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
Super stoked about this. I want to give an honorable mention to Totem Shaman. If just go listen to the end of last week's episode if you want to hear me go on about why I'm excited about the future of Totem Shaman. I'm not going to get into it again here. But Josh, what are you most excited to play? Like you're done opening your cards. You've already gotten every card in the set, despite the fact that you only opened like 40 packs. What are you going to go create and play on day one?
So I think the thing that I'm most excited about is kind of like I don't necessarily know if I want to say like the return of Handlock, but the yet again reimagining of Handlock, because Handlock has just been this staple of Hearthstone for so long. And then there were like some hand manipulation things that kind of worked, kind of didn't work, but we saw people like playing around with that. And now I feel like now that we have the soul fragment mechanic that they share with demon hunters, and also like it's really interesting to me as well, because this deck could potentially make use of the like both things that Warlock is like dual classed with. So the soul fragment stuff they share with Demon Hunter alongside the kind of manipulating your health stuff that they share with Priest. And why this is so interesting is the one that I was talking about, how, you know, like I was excited about just the idea of Handlock maybe before we'd even seen all the cards, was because of Flesh Giant. So with Flesh Giant, every time, like with the wording on the card, it counts not only like your hero power that'll be lowering your health, but also the soul fragments that when you draw them will be healing you up. Plus you have Nether Breath that can heal you as well. And so like both of those health fluctuations are going to be discounting Flesh Giant. So I don't think it's going to be out of the realm of possibility to get one of these giants down around the same amount of time that you would normally see the mountain giants come down in Handlock. But you're going to be able to like actually do things on your first few turns instead of just like pass, tap, pass, 8/8. Like you're going to be actively doing things and then also playing the 8/8. So yeah. I think it's a really interesting new way. And as you're kind of like tapping, you're not just always hurting yourself because of the addition of soul fragments. Those soul fragments are just going to be like healing you up randomly throughout the course of the game when you draw them. So I think this is a really cool intersection of these dual class cards, whether it's the way they originally, you know, thought to design them or not. I think it's really interesting because of the crossover between Priest and Warlock. And so you get those like the Warlock almost gets to like double dip because they can damage themselves and heal themselves at the same time. Like Priest kind of gets screwed.
Yeah, I'm sure multiple people tried it out on stream during like the theory crafting streams. But did you see Firebat? Because I know I was watching specifically him playing a Warlock with soul fragments and plot twist, and it works just as beautifully as you would hope and dream it does. And again, those sorts of things, like, I don't know. I find the theory crafting streams really, yeah,
I was watching Regis when he was playing.
I find it amusing because of like the dichotomy of community opinion of like, I love it, I hate it, it's the worst thing ever. Yeah. And I'm just like, more often than not, most of what they're playing is like terrible because they're in a real bubble of a meta. But it doesn't. For me, I get a lot out of it just seeing things in practice. And yeah, I personally like them better than the reveal streams. I think the reveal streams are like really canned. The decks are terrible most of the time.
I would almost like if they just did like, maybe not even like theory crafting, but if they gave them like canned decks, but then just like let everybody stream and then just had a central like play Hearthstone stream where they were like, oh, hey, now Regis is playing with this cool Priest deck and let's jump over to Firebat on the Warlock and just like showcase cards that way. Because you're right, like, especially now that they're not in the same place, like the already awkward streams have gotten even more awkward because of the, you know, it's harder to pick up cues when you're not in person. So yeah, I like the theory crafting idea, or like I like watching all my favorite streamers play with the new cards even ahead of me. I think that's fine. But yeah, maybe they could incorporate that with the card reveals somehow and not necessarily let them build decks, because I understand where other people are coming from too, saying that, you know, I want to be the one to experiment with this combo before anyone else. I mean, you could just not watch, but yeah, it takes over Twitch for the day. Well, it really does.
Just to save us some email, do not send in your emails or tweets or anything going, well, it ruins the experience on day one because people already know what decks. It's just like, I don't want to hear, I don't care. Doesn't matter. People are already theory crafting. And they're definitely not logging enough games to know without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. And like you said, they're in a bubble, right? Like,
yeah. We all thought at the Summit for Ashes of Outland that Token Demon Hunter was like the most busted version of Demon Hunter, and it was not.
Yeah, it didn't even hardly hit the radar compared to the other Demon Hunter builds.
I came back like a raving lunatic. Like I was naked with a sandwich sign going like the end is near and its name is Libram Paladin. Like I thought it was the most bananas thing I had ever played. And then of course, the expansion got onto the hands of the actual player base.
Yeah, which is literally millions of people.
Yes, yeah, and very, very quickly. There's no substitute for the sheer monumental, colossal amount of games that are logged within the first 48 hours of an expansion launch.
Right.
So,
but yeah, so I'm excited to see this kind of like new twist on Handlock. I think it's definitely got some legs. They've kind of got everything now in terms of they've got AoE removal still. They've got mid to late game threats. They've got like spot removal because they got the Brittlebone Destroyer, which alongside the Spirit Jailer is really, really, or sorry, not Spirit Jailer. The little dude, I think he's a neutral guy that lets you have a free hero power. I can't remember his name. He's anyways. Little neutral guy that gives you a free hero power. You can just kind of like play him and then get a free tap like that alongside potentially Raise Dead is the other card that I'm sort of a tour guide. I think you guys are right. Thank you, chat room. The tour guide. So the tour guide will allow you to, there he is. Tour guide. Your next hero power costs 0. So you can kind of like play that. You don't have to hero power that turn. It's the kind of thing that just carries over. So you could be sitting there with a 0 mana activator for a lot of this stuff where it's waiting for your hero's health to change. So you could literally play like a spot removal Brittlebone Destroyer on curve, kill one of your opponent's minions, and also have a 3/3 on turn 4. Like that's crazy. That's so much tempo. So I think that I think there's some really cool stuff here. Raise Dead, I'm wondering if potentially there's going to be a space for this. I think it's going to be really dependent on the actual meta and how stuff shakes out, because I think like it's a good way to kind of activate your health changing. It's 0 mana. So like I said, it's another way you can combo it with the Destroyer in order to be able to kill any minion. And then also you get some stuff like you get 2 friendly minions that died back in your hand, right? So if you find that you're running out of resources, then you've got a couple more you can add back to your hand. And then adding cards to your hand also plays into a lot of the hand manipulation stuff, like the Twilight Drakes and the the Abyssal Summoner, the one that gives you the taunt depending on your hand size. From is that from Ashes of Outland? I feel like it's
think so.
I think it might be. Anyways, from a previous expansion. So yeah, like I think that there's the Raise Dead could maybe potentially find a spot in this deck. But just overall, there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm really excited about. And I think Soul Fragments kind of really give this deck some gas because of all the healing.
Yeah, it was
when you draw them.
Descent of Dragons, by the way, on Abyssal Summoner.
Oh, Descent of Dragons. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't help that she has like green fell sky behind her. So I was like, it's totally Outland. And then, like, that's a dragon wing emboss behind the text on the card. There go me. So.
Yeah. So that's like the first thing that I think I'm gonna try is taking a look at like a soul fragment handlock or soul lock or soul handlock, whatever we end up calling it. But I think that one I'm really excited about. I think it's gonna be super cool, and I think it's gonna be pretty powerful.